Okay, perfect. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the seventh day of this initiative, that is Saturdays for Sustainability Learning, with a goal to discuss sustainability issues in a systematic manner for holistic understanding. So, to tell you about this group in just a minute or two, this is a mastermind group where all professionals, right from recent graduate to experienced people as 25, 30 years of experience will join this session, and we will have a discussion around one particular topic in a session. We also have some guest speakers planned, and they will share their inputs, and then we will discuss, because I feel discussion leads to better understanding of the concept, right? So this is a mastermind group as coined, the term coined by Napoleon Hill. So if you are not aware, do go through it. It's very interesting concept of mastermind group. So I am hopeful that this group over the period of time will culminate into a great mastermind group of sustainability. And these are the four outcomes that we will get from this 1 hour Saturday evening that we are investing. First is learning one new concept every week. Second, networking with the fellow professionals. Third, career opportunities in terms of jobs or business or entrepreneurial opportunities. And fourth is a thought leadership, that we will try to engage everyone, and that is one of the important point, I guess. And that's why uh, the WhatsApp group is created. So if you are not yet in the WhatsApp group, so please do fill the Google form. You will get all the details on your email address. Okay. So how we will connect, how we will do it? So that is connecting every week on Saturday evening, that is 7 p.m. and we will discuss around 1 hour. Okay. And yeah, so let me just quickly share what is planned for today. So as we had already discussed, so today's topic is circular economy, and let's quickly start. Uh, Let me just quickly present it, and then we will discuss about it. Okay. So yeah, I hope the presentation is visible to you now, that you can see circular economy on the screen.
We can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for the confirmation. Yeah, so as you can see on the screen, so circular economy, and we will try to understand these three concepts in today's presentation. First is, what is the global context in terms of production and consumption, or with respect to the manufacturing sector and services as well. Uh, what are the challenges of the linear model? There are two different models, and what is the approach? So in current situation, there are multiple challenges. So what is the best solution that is being offered? Okay, so let's start this session of circular economy. And before starting, as you can see on the screen, I hope you can identify the person. The photograph here is Amitabh Kant, who is a Niti Aayog CEO, and this news report is from 2019. Okay, so at that time, Niti Aayog was also working with the concept of circular economy, how to implement in India. And at that time, it was an estimate that circular economy can generate 1.4 crore jobs in next 5 to 7 years. So this was the opinion of Amitabh Kant, and Indian government is also working. We had also produced some of the reports regarding circular economy, and we will see that also. Okay, but this is the context that circular economy, generally when we discuss sustainability or circular economy, so there is a fear that there will be job loss, or there will be some unintended consequences there might be. But I guess circular economy can generate long-term sustenance, long-term livelihoods. So that is very clear in minds of policymakers. Okay. Then let's understand first the context in which circular economy becomes important for all of us. First is, let's understand what is changing in the world, and let me just quickly share with you some scenarios. Okay. uh, and this is my observation that, just a minute, yeah. So on the screen you can see, I'll directly project 6 challenges. I hope you all agree. Pollution is rising, plastic pollution, or the use of plastic, or I would say misuse of plastic, is also rising. Population growth, greenhouse gases, water and air quality, and rising CO2 concentration. So these are the 6 challenges that you will find everywhere, right? And when we talk about the solutions, so I really like this quote from Forest Stewardship Council, which said that there are no absolutes about method. It should be, the quote is only up to this: there are no absolutes about solution or method. It should be fine-tuned with specific situation or time. What happened? The solution at one time becomes problem at another time. Okay, so and generally this is the scenario, this is the case that we see. So plastic once was introduced as a solution to save environment. How many of you know about it? Actually, plastic was introduced to save environment.
Oh, is it? It's new to me, honestly.
Okay. So this is an interesting concept actually. There was I'm not recollecting complete story. I'll definitely share it in group or in next session. But there was uh, 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 the requirement of wood or paper. To save the paper, plastic was introduced, and that's how first it was thought as a environmental. It was helpful for environmental conservation. But today we know that this is a problem, and that's why whenever we think about the solution, so it is never absolute. Solution is always specific to the specific situation, specific time, and there are many other elements that interact with it. So that is one thing we always have to remember. And in this global scenario, uh, what happened in post industrialization, in last century, the traditional approach of management. So maybe you can go to Peter Drucker or the quality gurus that we had. So management approach was always, it was only related to the overall processes or operations. It was only, it did not consider the natural environment in any significant way, because they had their reasons as well. Okay, so environmental issues were traditionally regarded as being part of natural sciences, nothing to do with the management or operations or the overall profitability or the other running of the company, right? So the management theory did not traditionally deal with nature, and no mention of managing nature as common to the interest of society. Okay, and the result was the managers and employers in the traditional mold did not take into account the environmental factors and their decision making or in the program implementation. So that is the context that we had till last century. Then what changed actually? If you see the trend of world population, I hope you can see on the screen global population. I'm sorry, I couldn't update it. Actually, the 8 billion population mark we crossed in last year, right? So it is 2022. So you can see on the screen that how many years it took to increase the global population through 1 billion. So in the year 1925, it was just 2 million people. It took 125 years to double the population. Okay. In 1960, it became 3 billion. It took 35 years. 1974, it became 4 billion. It took 14 years, and then it was averaged out to 13 or 12 years. And in last year, we crossed 8 billion mark. Okay. So this is huge. And why it creates the issues. So let's understand, the billion mark is really very huge. And if we try to understand the context in terms of India, so let's go back only 60 years. Around 1960, we had 45 crore population. Okay, and today we all agree that it is more than 140 crores. Okay, so you can see it has tripled. But at the same time, the resources are still, we have a restraint on resources, right? There is a bottleneck, right? So in this context, if we check the CO2 levels, okay, so that has also gone above 400 parts per million of CO2, right? So that has never occurred in last 8 lakh years of history, right? So this is one interesting statistic that we need to pay attention. Okay, then what is the result? What is happening? So this is something that you can see on the graph, the exponential growth. Okay. And to understand exponential growth in simple term, let me just give you one example. We will have one game. Okay. And I would request everyone to please participate in this activity. So let's assume we have a paper. Okay. So as you can see, so this is a thin paper. Okay. I hope you can see, right? So this is a thin paper. Let's say its thickness is 1 mm or 0.1 centimeters. Okay. And each time we are folding it, its thickness doubles. Okay. So let's say if I'm folding it, so this is how I'll fold. And as you can agree, the thickness gets doubled. Okay. So in this scenario, in this way we are folding, the thickness gets doubled. So my question to you is, you have 30 seconds to answer. How much would it be its thickness after folding it 42 times? And your time starts now. I hope question is clear.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So what is the thickness of the paper after 42 times folding it? Okay. So I'm counting your time. Your time starts now. You have 30 seconds to answer this question.
It will be near about 5 centimeter.
5 centimeter. Okay. One answer. What about others? Thank you. Thank you, Kishorji, for answer. 15 seconds remaining.
5.2 centimeter.
Sorry, can you please repeat?
4.2 centimeter.
4.2
I'm multiplying 0.1 centimeter multiplied by 42.
Yes, Manish, I agree. Paper cannot be folded more than 7 times. Yeah, but this is a hypothetical condition. So let's see if we can imagine that. Yeah, so I would say time is up now. You can share your answers, whatever. Maybe you can share your best guess. That is also fine. In this way, we are folding. Okay. Should we move ahead? Would you like to attempt any guess?
Somewhere in the thousands.
In thousands. Okay. Okay. So I have received one more answer. 4.2 centimeters. Okay. Okay. All right. So are you ready to see the answer? Everyone?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So let's check the answer now. So our paper would be 4,39,804 kilometers thick. So how big is this? To put it in context, the distance between Moon and Earth is 3,84,400 kilometers. And folding our paper as small as 0.1 centimeters. Okay, so in this way, if you calculate, and point to note here is, we are folding just 42 times, which is finite. We are folding a paper which has started from just 1 mm or 0.1 centimeter, but still we are getting this much result. It's such a huge, this is a power of exponential growth, and this is a concept called as doubling time. Okay, so maybe we can discuss this in another session, but the point to note here is, when there is exponential growth, when something doubles, okay, in some limited span of time, we get very little time at the end. Yes, is there any question? Okay. Okay, so this is the concept to understand how exponential growth is. It plays with the system and what is the impact of exponential growth. Okay, so let's move ahead. And that's how the population growth is. That's how the resource consumption has increased. That's how the pollution that that has increased over the last decades. Okay, so in that context, sustainability comes in. We have three pillars of sustainability. Then yes, yes, Shahid, do you have any question? Okay, I'll request all to mute. If you have any question, please do unmute. Please raise your hand. That's fine. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So let's move ahead. And that's how the three pillars of sustainability, or the 17 sustainable development goals, that come into picture. How to solve this problem? So that is a concern for all of us, and how to do it. So what I feel is circular economy is one of the solution to solve this issue. Okay. So what is circular economy, if you ask me? So that is the industrial system that is restorative and regenerative by intention and design. So these four are keywords over here: restorative, regenerative, intention, and design. Okay, so we will see in this session how they correlate. And this is my best opinion, that circular economy is not a goal in itself. It is a means towards an end, that is sustainable development. If you ask me how to achieve sustainable development, so I would say circular economy is one of the best solution to achieve it, one of the best way to achieve it. And circular economy has multiple points in it, so that constitute it as it's an umbrella concept. Umbrella concept means it's not only one thing. So all these, as you can see on the screen, 7 things which constitute to a circular economy. So design for the future, or incorporation of digital technology, extending what we already have, regenerative resources, waste as a resource, rethinking of the business model, and collaborate or create a joint venture, collaborative thinking, right? As the last sustainable development goal is about partnerships. So that all entails a circular economy. Okay, so let's understand it in much more detail now. Before that, why it is circular economy is important. So I'll put some of the points. Okay, and this is based on one report, one research paper, and I'll also share that research paper with you as well. Okay, but this is one thing. This is a study from McKinsey. It's McKinsey Commodity Price Index. Okay, which has analyzed how real price has changed over last century. Okay, and these 2 decades. So they are saying that based on the arithmetic average of 4 commodity, the real price has increased a lot in last 2 decades. So sharp price increase in commodities since 2000 have erased all the real price decline in the 20th century. And how this real price declined in 20th century, as you can see, there are some of the as you can see on this trend, some are up, some are down. So the reasons are also, you can see there are some there are depression or the world war, so that has increased the price or the GDP. The oil shock was there, but overall the trend was the real price was decreasing, and from 2000 it has risen more than what it decreased. Okay, so this is one point to put it. Okay, so it has multiple consequences that we will see. Okay, so first is if you want to understand real price, should I explain the real price also, or we can move ahead?
I think you can explain it a little better. Yeah, please.
Okay, okay, sure. So if you want to understand the real price, so when we talk about GDP, or when we talk about the cost of the item, right? So there are 2 different definitions that we say. One is nominal value and one is a real value. So nominal value is in current time. Okay, so let's say, what is the cost of 1 kg of rice? What is the cost of 1 liter of let's say petrol or diesel? So that is the face value of the good. The real price is something that is also depend on the past value. So a real value is something that that takes out the inflation part of it. Okay, and that's how you compare the difference between prices of present and future or past. Okay, so that is a relative term to compare the price of two different years. So that is the real price. Okay, so why it is important? Because as you know, the GDP is increasing every year, it increases, but majority of the portion that is increased because of inflation. So you need to find out what is the contribution of inflation and what is the contribution of real growth of the GDP. Okay, so I would again request, if you have question, please unmute, otherwise you can please mute
I
yourself.
think Dhananjay, maybe do you able to mute others, those who are not speaking? You can control.
Yes, I can do
I
that.
think that will be better, please.
Yes. Okay. Okay, all right. Yeah, so and here one example is given. So that's all about how real price is increasing. So this is example that if, let's say, there is nominal wage of $10 in year 1 and $16 in year 2, and at the same time the price was, let's say, we consider 1 in year 1 and 1.33 in the year 2. So if you divide this price by this, let's say 1 and 1.3, then you will get what is the real wage or real income for that one particular person. And in that case, you can compare, so how much buying capacity has increased. Okay, so this is about real price. So what we were discussing, the real price has increased more in last 2 decades after 2000. Okay, so in this context, why it has happened and how circular economy is related to it, so we will see now. So first, as we discussed, circular economy, it's industrial system, it's restorative, regenerative by design, right? So let's understand what is the linear system. Linear system is all about extraction, production, distribution, use, and waste. Single use plastic that we say, right? So here, generally the loop is open. This is the linear system. Material is coming, we are extracting the material, we are producing it, manufacturing, then it goes to distribution, the customer uses it, and then it is discarded. So here what we talk about majorly is the resources are used wastefully, because the reason being, if you go to, let's say, 100 years back, population was around 2 billion. The natural resources were abundant, and the thought that these resources would deplete someday, that didn't occur to them. So if you go 100 years back and tell them that in future water will be, you need to purchase water, or maybe you need to purchase oxygen or something, so they will say it's not possible because nature is abundant, we cannot harm it. So that was the mentality, that was the system it had earlier. But now the conditions are different, and that's how the circular economy comes into picture. And where in the circular economy, as you can see, production, distribution, use, and then it's reuse, repair, remanufacture, refurbish, these comes into picture. And last resort is recycle. So what recycle is something that we always understand, this is good thing to do, but circular economy will tell you that this is the last resort to go to. Okay, so let's see more about circular economy. And one of the organization which has done great work in in research in circular economy, how it can be implemented, so that is Ellen MacArthur Foundation. Okay, so this is one of the image that is you can see on the screen. This is picture designed by Ellen MacArthur Foundation to explain in better detail. So first, if we take any product, it has two materials. First is a biological material, or it will have technical material. Either it will be complete biological or complete technical, or it will have a combination of these two, right? Just a minute. Okay, great. So as you can see on the screen, so these are the two different components, right? So what circular economy talks about is, if that is a technical material, you should have maximum, the loop should be smaller, the loop should be circular. Okay, there are three ways how we can do it, we will discuss it later. But here the point to understand is the technical material that has to be that should go into system again. it should not go to landfill, it should not go to incineration, that is a burning. Okay, and when we talk about biological resource, so that should go to nature, the nutrient should go to nature, that is the natural system, or that is the I would say the perfect circular system that we have. So we should try to separate these two, and how we can get the maximum circularity of these two components. So that is all about circular economy. This is a wonderful report, that wonderful image that they have designed. Okay, and it explains a lot. Okay, so let's understand how to do that. This we have already explained why circular economy is important, because I'll just reiterate some of the points. Population, the shift into the packaged product, so use of plastic, or what you can say is more and more people, when we lift people out of poverty, that is our goal, right? Sustainable development goal, no poverty, right? So when we are bringing people out of the below poverty line, so they will come into middle class, and their requirements, their aspirations will also change, right? So in that case, the consumption is going to increase, and at the same time, you can see there is much more waste that is happening, the systemic issues, all the cultural issues, whatever the reasons are. But you will see the waste of resources is more in current times, right? So this is a potential consumption time bomb that can lead to inevitable resource constraint. And in this backdrop, there are many research which tell us that resources are limited, the cost of mining is increasing. At the same time, the exploration or the finding of new oversights or new material extraction is limited. So yeah, so these are the reasons that you can see. First is mounting pressure on resources, and second is favorable alignments of enablers. So these are the two points which let's say enable us, or which are favorable for circular economy. That is the reason that we should go for circular economy. So if you question why, so these are the 2 points, right? And pressure, as you all can agree, demand is increasing, resource price is increasing, or there is more volatility in the prices, and that is a big concern for the organizations, right? So if you are a manufacturing firm or services firm, you must be concerned about these things, right? And at the same time, we have some favorable alignments for circular economy, which help us to implement this solution. Many times what happens, we get some solution, but we don't have the supporters over there. So maybe that kind of solution requires some new technology, or it needs some 50 years, 20 years time in future to materialize it. But in this case, circular economy, we have the favorable alignments of enablers in current time. So these are the 2 things. That's why we should work on circular economy now. Okay, so these are some of the research points. I'll not take your time on this, but on the screen you can see the important point is still, if you talk about recycling, still the recycling rate, global recycling rate is very low. Okay, for paper and cardboard, so it is only around 49%, and in Japan it's up to 78%. But still, in overall world, the recycling rate is very low. And at the same time, this is a study from UNEP, United Nations Environment Program. So they had identified 60 common materials, and only 1/3 had recycling rate of 25% or more. Okay, which is also very less, actually, the percentage. But this tells us how grim the solution is about recycling. Okay, and these are the leakage points in terms of circularity, right? So you would ask me, so what is the solution? Because we should discuss more on solution, right? Discussing problem is not helping anyone. So let's discuss about the solution. So on the screen, you can see on left hand side, you can see some of the companies who have tried circular economy solutions. On the right hand side, you can see some of the country or some group of country, they have implemented circular economy solutions. And some of the tools that I feel circular economy is that these tools can enable the implementation of circular economy. Okay, so we will discuss couple of them today. Okay, So I guess I have 15 more minutes. Yeah, so this is about Japan. So Japan is working on circular economy, not directly circular economy till this time, but you can see the law for the protection of efficient utilization of resources that came in 2000. In 2002, they had a law on reutilization of end-of-life automobiles, and one new concept that is coming in the world, that is product passport. As we know the passport for people, so there will be a passport for product. This is new concept in circular economy. And one thing that is remarkable for Japan is the recycling rate for metal is almost 98%. So that is great thing for any country to aspire. The second about China. So China also, they had a cleaner production law in 2003 and circular economy production law in 2009. And China has implemented one of their program in Beijing. It's about reducing the energy consumption, and they got some good results from that as well. Okay. When we talk about EU, that is European Union, so they had also planned some research projects into it. So they had one Europe 2020 strategy back in year 2012, 2013. They had resources, they had funds, they allocated to universities, to organizations, and they are getting the results of that as well. So one of the mandate, one of the law that is coming from EU is extended producer responsibility. So that will enable the implementation of circular economy. Okay, so this is something that EU was coming up at that time. Okay, in May 2018. But let's come back to the organizations because that is something which is directly in our control, right? So what organization can do is, there are 4 things that they can do. As you can see on the screen, this is one graph. I'll just quickly explain. So I hope you can see the presentation PPT, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, yes, yes.
perfect, perfect. So how it can be implemented for industry? So let's see one thing on x-axis, as you can see over here, closing resource flow. So let's understand first scenario. This is our linear flow, the first arrow that you can see, the thicker arrow. Okay, so first thing that they can do is, let's say if I close this arrow, it becomes circular. Okay, so whatever is open, I need to close it. If it is not going to re-loop, I would say, then we are making it circular. This is about 1. Okay, the x, we are going right. At the same time, if for the same arrow, this arrow, if you are extending its time, extending its use, extending its value, so value is more important, right? So if you are extending the value of any product, so that is life extension. Okay, so that you can do. And when you implement this, you will see life extension and circular, this one arrow right in front. And now you need to go deeper, right? So what you can do is, you have to narrow flow. Narrow flow means for the same value, right? Because any customer purchases only value. Customer are not concerned about product, they are concerned about value. Can you provide same value with lesser resources, with lesser material, with lesser energy consumption, with more efficient way of production, way of transportation? Is it possible? If you are narrowing the flow, as you can see on this arrow, narrowing flow, so you will get over here this thinner arrow, which is more circular, which is more elongated, which is life extended. So this is how circular economy can be done. And while doing so, you need to resort to cleaner energy resources, right? So that's how the circular economy can be implemented in organizations. So in short, what we can say, first is slowing the resource loop, life extension. Second, narrowing, right? That is using lesser material for the same value. And third, closing the loop, and while doing so, using the clean energy. So this is how circular economy can be implemented. So this is something that is how it can be done. So design for environment is one interesting concept. There are multiple points in that as well, but some of the points that we can discuss is, let's say, you should implement circular economy in such a way that it in the design phase itself. So when we say circular economy, okay, so when we say circular economy, so it's not only about recycling, because whenever we say circular economy, many of the people think that it's only about how we recycle things, or how we can collect the waste, how we can turn it into resource. So it's not, circular economy is not more related about that. It is more related about going into design, changing the design, changing the way manufacturing is done, changing the way it is consumed, and that's how it can be implemented. Okay, so some of the points that you can see on the screen, which are additive choices. So shifting to mechanical additive choices. So why it is required? So let's say there are two products, two items. Let's say we have multiple types of plastic, right? So if two types of plastic are uh, we have to join it, right? So we have joined that through chemically, right? There is some solvent and that binds these two together. It's difficult to remove it after, right? So whenever that material goes to recycling, it's difficult. And that is same for whether that is technical component or it is biological and technical component. If you cannot segregate the two, then that will not get into circular mode, and that's how that is a hindrance to circularity. And that's how they suggest that it should be additive choices should be mechanical, so that they can completely separate it from each other. So that is one of the method, one of the way. So while we design, we need to think, can we design it in a better way? Can we change the design process? So these are some of the points. Okay, maybe we can have our session, next session, maybe design on circular economy or something. But the overall idea is to understand here is, in linear economy, as you can see here, it's a consumer based economy, where the business is driven from buying of the consumer and frequent buying. It's not only one time, it's buy, consume, buy again, more consumption, more growth, right? So this is a consumer, it's not a customer. Okay, consume, so consumption is more important. We need to move from consumer to user. When we say user, so it's even you, if you just consider the notion of these two words, the word user will give us more thoughts about durability, right? So the circular economy talks about how we make products durable, that can be leased or rented or shared, and if sold, their return is ensured, right? So this is the shift of mindset, this is the shift of I'll say the normal practice that has to be discussed, that has to be taken care when we discuss circular economy. Okay, so is it possible practically? That is the next question that you might have. Yes, it's absolutely practical, and it has been implemented, it has been tested, and it's successful as well. On the screen, you can see some of the organizations which has implemented circular economy. First, you can see OV Fiat. So this is one bicycle that you can see. And second is a Fairphone. So this is something very, very interesting. You can go to their website and you can check about it. But as many of us are from manufacturing background, I guess, or you are auditor, or maybe manufacturing is something that we can correlate, most of us, right? So let's understand this with these two big companies. First is Philips and second is Renault. Okay, so I'll just take you to the report now. Okay, let me share my screen again. Yes, I hope you can see the report now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. So I'll just quickly in 2 minutes, I'll share this. Okay, so what Renault did, so they thought about how to implement circular economy. Okay, so they worked with their vendor. So Renault has worked with their cutting fluid supplier to shift from a, just a minute. Why it is happening? Okay, it has. Okay, So as you can see, so they worked with their cutting fluid supplier. Okay. So what was the problem statement here is the cutting oil had to be changed frequently due to impurity and the significant waste, and that's why they had to change it frequently. So Renault asked their supplier to provide maintenance service for the cutting equipment, including fluid supply and waste disposal. Okay. So the manufacturers, means the vendor of the Renault, manufacturers engineers went back to the lab, redesigned the fluid and usage process, and extended Renault's usage period to a full year, yielding a total cost of ownership reduction of 20%. This saving also does not yet take into account the avoided cost for upgrading the waste treatment plant. All right, 90% of the discharge volume, it was a reduction, right? So supplier was able to turn a commodity product into a differentiated solution to capture the first mover advantage and took in a service contract with Renault. So let me just quickly share the gist of this activity over here. So earlier, Renault was having one supplier, cutting fluid supplier, who would supply, who will sell cutting fluid to the Renault. Okay. Renault asked them to design in such a way that can we incorporate circularity into it? Can we redesign the process? And that's how the circularity should be discussed. Circular economy should be implemented. So what Renault did is they asked their vendors to provide a solution to that, right? And instead of providing them a product that is a cutting fluid, they asked them to provide a service for that particular operation. So this is a win-win-win. How? First, the supplier design a process in such a way that the cutting fluid consumption reduced, right? So that is the benefit for Renault as the cost is decreased. Second benefit is it is for the supplier, right? So they had one differentiated process, they had patented it and they had implemented it in many places as well, and they gone into long-term contract with Renault. Second benefit. Third benefit for environment, the waste reduction, the use of cutting fluid reduced, and that's how it's a win-win-win solution. And this is how circular economy can be implemented in many other organizations as well. If we take example of Philips, as you can see on the screen, so they started implementing this model. One of the major component of circular economy is product as a service. Customers don't want product. So if let's say,
sorry to interrupt you. Are
yes.
you seeing any picture or anything? We are just seeing example.
Okay. Right. No. Actually, I'm just sharing the PPT only. Okay. Because the second Philips story is also just a minute.
No, sorry. Then continue, please. Then continue.
Okay. Sure. Thanks. So I'll share that report as well with you. So whenever we purchase any product, let's say we purchase electric bulb, light bulb. Okay. So we purchase the bulb for lighting, right? We require light, and that's why we purchase bulb. We don't purchase bulb for its own, let's say, just purchasing bulb, right? So service is important, lighting is important, and that's how product as a service, or PaaS we also call it. So product as a service tells us that why don't you sell directly service to the customer? So Philips has worked with this model. So they are selling lighting system, right? So customers don't have to purchase bulb. Bulb will be a property of Philips. Okay. They only, and Philips will ensure that the lighting as per requirement of the customer will be there. So they will replace the bulbs whenever it's not functioning. They will have their maintenance. They will have they will take care that lighting is perfect. This is a win-win, as it will be more profitable for Philips as well. The re-loop that we discussed, so Philips can ensure that in more practical ways. So these are some of the ways that a company can implement circularity, and that we have already discussed couple of that, right? So extending products life, dematerialization, repairing more, reusing more, sharing more, remanufacturing, material recovery, closing the loop. Can we have secondary raw materials, right? Parts reuse or refurbishment. So there are multiple new things that are coming into this. So based on from where you are recovering the value. So first is we have to maximize the value extraction out of the product. So that is the majority, that is the basis through which we can have this multiple ways. Okay. Yes, and I guess I had one question regarding circular economy, and thank you for asking, Manish. So you had a question that is there any marketplace where before selling to the scrap dealer, companies try to repurpose or upcycle? How we can consistently map the scrap or output waste of one company to the input raw material for another? Yes, this is a valid question. And this is more valid because circular economy talks about closing the loop, and if we want to close the loop, this is very important topic, that how we collect the scrap, how the waste of one organization becomes resource of another organization, and that's why the collaboration part, partnership part comes into picture. So in that scenario, whatever I know, I'll tell you, and then we can open this for discussion, and I would request everyone to participate. So currently what I feel is there are multiple collaborative organizations or the platforms that we have that they support the stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, it's government, it's local authorities, it's manufacturers, and let's say waste recyclers, or that kind of entire ecosystem of recycling related to that, right? So some of the organizations that you can see on the screen, that is Circular Economy Club, and major is Ellen MacArthur Foundation, because Ellen MacArthur Foundation was the first to work into this. They have created some of the seminal reports, some of the great insights how to implement it, and they have worked with governments as well. So Ellen MacArthur Foundation, along with Indian government, had produced one report in 2016. So I'll share that also quickly. And one of the organization is ICCE, that is International Council for Circular Economy. Okay, so these are some of the platforms where they are arranging. Let's go to website and then understand it in better way. So these are some of the organizations. I'll just share my screen again, just a minute. Yes, so I hope you can see the screen, right? You can see Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and on their website you can see there are multiple resources are combined at one place, because we all understand partnership is important. And here you can see the other organization, that is Circle Economy or Circular Economic Club or the ACR, or even they are creating some groups like that is specific to a country or specific to a state, that is also there. Okay. Yes, so this is about circular economy. And as you can see on the screen, networks and resources. So here also you can see there are multiple resources, multiple platforms from where you can get this data and you can collaborate with them. Okay, and I'll also share ICC with you. I hope my screen is visible, right? Means whatever I am showing you, that is matching, right?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
yes, yes.
Perfect, thanks. So ICC is Indian organization actually, and many of the founders are from India, and I am also one of the member of ICCE. So I'm happy to share that with you as well. So they also arrange a couple of discussion forums and programs. All year programs are there. Okay, they are running courses on it. Okay, so there are multiple activities that they are doing, and I'll just now quickly move to I'll just show Ellen MacArthur Foundation's website to you, and then I'll share the reports through which I have learned or I have taken the data to explain to you circular economy. Okay, so this is Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and it's a great resource to learn about circular economy. Okay, so you can check it. And now what I'll share with you is the resources, the reports that are generated from multiple organizations. Okay, so first is as you can see, Ellen MacArthur Foundation's Rethink the Future 2013 report. Okay, so in this report they have the first discussion about how to implement circular economy. in partnership with McKinsey and Company. So they had produced this report, as you can see on the screen. Okay. So why circular economy is important, how we can do it. Okay. So this is first report. Then second, I'll share is this is from World Economic Forum towards a circular economy, accelerating the scale up across global supply chain. So this was published in 2014, and most of my learning that I shared today comes from this report. Okay. So why circular economy is important, and how we can implement it in practical ways. Okay. So these are some of the points that we discussed today in our session, in our presentation. Okay. Then third is the report that Ellen MacArthur Foundation along with Indian government, that was published in 2016. Okay. So they have also worked with different countries or different continents and produced more specific report for them. Okay. So this is a report for India. What is the context for India to implement circular economy? Okay. So this is one report with multiple partnerships that you can see. Okay. But and multiple organizations, multiple partners, the profit making big companies as well. So you can see some of the names over here. Okay. Yes. So summary of the finding that you can see, why circular economy is important for India. Okay. So we will not go more detail in more detail about it, because as we are near or almost we have finished time. And this is one interesting report, that is the circularity gap report. Every year this report gets published, and I guess it was last published. I had access this report in 2020 and 2021. And while today to discuss this, I also gone through the report, the latest report that we have for 2023. And it states that the circularity, the first statement I'll read, the global economy is now only 7.2% circular, and it's getting worse year on year. I remember in the year 2021, it was more than 7.2. It was around 8.5, but it was more than 7.2, right? So this is the latest report. Every year they publish some good information, some infographic, and how we can implement. So this is initiative from Circle Economy. Okay. Circle Economy. Yeah, and this is the same report that we discussed from World Economic Forum. Okay. So yeah, so I'll end this presentation now. I took some more time, but yes, thank you so much for being with me. And maybe you can discuss, you can put your points, please.
I think it's extremely crucial that companies really understand the importance, and largely since it is a economy driven globe, I think showing the financial profits is what initially will get people to adopt the circular economy. I think a classic example is where at HP, I think one of the product ranges, we use ocean bound plastic, right? So it's a win-win situation. So we do not let the plastic reach the ocean, and at the same time use that as a raw materials for your products. So I think as and when we are moving towards these win-win situations, I think slowly the companies will definitely move towards the circular economy. But I think the initial bit should be profits in terms of financial thing. No one would probably do it for the sake of environment until unless it's made mandatory.
Yes.
Compliance related issues. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, agree. And many of the companies are implementing it. Means big organizations are doing it. Yeah. So we would like to know more about what HP is doing. If you graciously agree to share it, if that is possible in any next session.
Sure, definitely I can. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Dhananjay, I just want to add one comment. Like circular economy, a fundamental point of view is good, but I think it's going to be a big challenge for developed countries where the labor cost is very high, right? So in today context, like if any electronics item spoil in our developed countries, like just take an example of Singapore, if we have to go for repair, it costs much more than the brand new product, right? So
Right.
that can be a big obstacle in circular economy. So I think by and large, once big companies understand it, they may, and the government things will change over the time. In short term, it will be definitely going to be a challenge. Yeah. And
Right,
that can be a
definitely.
big hurdle for the circular economy.
Yes, absolutely. And actually, this is something that I got to know during COVID actually. So at that time, China refused to take the West produce from Western countries. Actually, most probably or majority Europe. And at that time, they understood how important this is, because China was the dump yard for European nations. And when China refused to accept that, then they got the question how we will do it. So yes, Western countries or the more developed countries, so they need to participate it with not only with their intention, but with their financial and technological resources as well.
I think recently I read one example, Michigan, the tire company, right? They take a very good initiative. Like for US Army and Air Force, right? They used to sell the tires. Now they changed the system. They say now they rent the tires to them, so it automatically go back to them.
Right.
So now they own it and then enforce it to make it proper recycle or something like that. And otherwise, tires are once used, it get wasted and dumped in the other way, right?
Yeah, thank you. So there are multiple ways how circular economy is implemented. So one is product as a service model, or the other is designing in such a way that the less resources are used. And there are multiple. Design for circular economy is, I guess, there is one course I completed, and from that I got to know most of the design for circular economy. I'll share that also with you if you are interested. This is one good course. Okay, I'll just share. So I just hid it from the presentation, but I thought if anyone is interested, I'll share. So this is one course. I did it on Coursera. Circular Economy, Sustainable Materials Management. So this is one good resource. Okay. Yeah, please. Kishorji, you were saying something, please.
No, I want to give one example of that foreign company, that foreign fridge making company. They are now manufacturing their fridge related material, plastic from the waste toys. That small toys from that they are collecting that small toys and they are using to into their fridge production. So this is also one of the example of that circular economy.
Right.
That most of the big organizations started this initiative like this. They are using that recyclable material and that plastic they are using into their products. Yes.
Okay, right. Yes, and we will see this trend going upward only.
In future, yes.
Yes. Yes. Manish, your point of view, please.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
No, all good. I think designing for, see, this is where I feel the terminology of circular economy versus sustainable design, I treat differently, right? I know many definitions exist out there. So when you said design the product right the first time so it extends its useful life, that's a sustainable design.
Right.
And that's a linear design, but extending the linear design, right? And I think the circular economy is really about, in my view, because I find it easier to map to that concept, is about taking the output from something that's the end of life in a way, but saying, no, it's not really the end of life. Let me repurpose it. For example, some products that we need virgin plastic in, we create polycarbonates, polystyrene from it. And then when the strength of that plastic reduces as it becomes a non-virgin, a recycled plastic, we put that into, the next grade of plastics. And many companies, HP, Dell, etc., have been using this for the longest time. For the strong components, they will use polystyrene. For some other components, they will use, a slightly weaker material. And I think that's great because they know how not to always ask for virgin material, right? Um, so, and the other thing about the circular economy is, I think about mapping. Can you hear me? Sorry, I don't know if my network is good enough today.
No, I guess the network issue is at my end. Yes, please continue.
We can hear you, Manish, well.
Okay. Yeah, the other thing about the circular economy is there's only so many times you can recycle a product. And therefore, I think some stuff that I've been reading over the past few days says having a circular economy is not the main solution, but having a sustainable design, having lower consumption are probably bigger drivers of a more sustainable future, right? Not to say that circular is not important. Whatever we already have converted, transformed from oil into something else or from wood into something else, we still have to maintain in the economy without dumping it into the landfills. That is our responsibility. But in the long run, we have to start consuming less. We have to start taking less from the earth in terms of natural resources. And that is not circular economy. That is more a sustainable design, right? Lower consumption. So yeah, just wanted to distinguish some of those thoughts in the mind. I know, Dhananjay, you put it up very nicely upfront that there are many drivers and circular economy is one of them.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, because these are really important points that should be shared again and again in order to get it right, I guess.
Dhananjay, I want to share also one thing.
Yes,
That
please.
yes, that during the audit, we also check that, means during the environmental audit and health safety audit, we also check on in the design section that the life cycle perspective have been addressed or not. Means from their all stages considered in life cycle stages or not. Means what is the waste generated from the production and what is the waste generated from the dispatch section. Means from starting design, purchase, then production, dispatch, all stages are considered in life cycle perspective or not. If not considered, then we are raising a NC, non-conformity, during the audit. So in environmental, means some of the companies who are certified ISO 14001, they are the taking care of the waste reduction. Means they are transporting that their hazardous waste material to the authorized, that pollution control board authorized agency, or authorized e-waste vendor from the pollution control board. Means now most of the organization started waste disposal properly. So during I want to say that during audit we also check that this life cycle perspective in design also. Yes.
That's wonderful. Just wanted to ask you, as you got to audit different companies, one thing I'm not sure about Indian companies is they are not that much keen in designing and first step itself. So generally what happened, the design department is just getting the design from their foreign offices or whatever we had previous designs. So they'll just use the same, just modify a little bit, but they are not keen on designing something really for value. So that is my observation. So maybe that may be observation bias, but you would be in a better position and to share about it.
नो, मोस्ट ऑफ द कंपनीज में क्या रहता है कि उनका ओन डिजाइन डिपार्टमेंट रहता है, तो वो लोग केयर करते हैं। जो लोग यानी बाहर से जो करवा लेते हैं, यानी सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर से जो डिजाइन करवा लेते हैं, तो वो केस में ये प्रॉब्लम रहता है कि उसमें फिर ये लाइफ साइकिल पर्सपेक्टिव, आपके सेफ्टी कंसिडरेशन ये एड्रेस किए हुए नहीं रहते। और जो भी मोस्ट ऑफ द एमएनसीज रहते हैं उसमें ये एड्रेस किया रहता है। यस, यस, आई एग्री विथ यू। यस।
So I'm asking this for one reason. So as if we want to implement circular economy, we need to implement it from design phase itself, right? So I would like to ask this question for every one of you. What do you think? What is the percentage of companies that will really take it so seriously that they will redesign at the first step? So they will try to design in such a way that this is a circular product. So what do you think? What is the percentage of company currently in India, let's say, that will do it and others will? So let's talk about the positive number. Who will do it? What do you think?
May I offer some thoughts here? I think companies for the longest time have been doing design for serviceability, design for, design for, like field repair, essential modularity and everything else. So these are all drivers of a more sustainable future. Of course, I think these have been incremental innovations or incremental improvements we've been doing over time. And now I think we say, how can we even, maybe take it one step further? Because I don't think people are going to suddenly start from scratch. Those companies would have evolved a long time ago. And I think somebody said it very aptly, unless there is compliance, right? That's coming down as a sword on them, that they will suddenly start thinking, but those companies will not survive. They can't reinvent themselves suddenly. So what you will find is, I think, companies that have been on a steady path towards incremental innovation will innovate at an accelerated pace owing to compliance. The ones that have failed to innovate in the past 30, 40 years have probably already gone defunct or will go defunct because they won't be able to cope with that mindset, I think.
Right.
Or Manish, unless until government gives some incentive to the companies for developing a design, and they provide some cost benefits to those who are show proof that they are doing a circular design, right?
Fair enough. And there, I think if you talk about tire companies, for example, hey, tire is a consumable product. Everybody knows that. Maybe the trick there is to say, uh, if you use soft compounds, you lose the rubber quickly. If you use hard compounds, you keep the rubber. What is the trade-off from a fuel efficiency perspective? What is the source of that rubber? Maybe the sustainability is in the source of the rubber and less so in the fact that, we know we have to consume the rubber, right, to move the vehicles. Sure, maybe we can design better roads, but then you get a lot of other things such as safety and everything else in the picture, right? So I'm just giving that as an example. I don't mean to dispute your point at all, Pavlesh. I think what you say is absolutely right. Incentives from the government will be key, but it'll be a carrot and stick issue, right?
I agree.
All right. Yes. So anyone would like to comment? Last comment, last 1 minute. Okay, perfect then. So thank you so much for joining this session and adding your valuable insights. So I'll stop this presentation.
Thank you, Dhananjay. Nice presentation. Thank you.